No, but I'll give in. I'll
Wow, look
yield
at
to
you
the
go with a
chairman.
gavel.
It's here.
He's gavel happy. He has
No nails to drive.
He has a Napoleon complex. He's actually going like this.
You always take it one step too far.
Who?
Jeff.
I think you're between two people that take it one step too far.
Oh, God, really?
I would like to open the...
I'm not coming to visit you again.
Well, you never did before.
I was up there for
I
like
know.
5 hours.
You spent more time with my daughter than you have with me up there.
Are we moving on?
I'm opening
Good.
the June 22nd meeting of the Support Services Committee.
Oh, God.
I have a motion by Evelyn and a second by Edna to accept and approve the minutes of our last meeting. Any discussion, changes, amendments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. I'm gonna put you at the top of the list. Moi.
Thank you. I'm here to beg your forgiveness. Something I didn't know I was needing forgiveness for. I've got actually 6 resolutions on the agenda today. They're all for vendors that we have used for years in the self-insurance plan to conduct planned business, to manage our cases. However, we have, as you know, a new county auditor and a new county attorney who are doing a spectacular job. And in order to do their job, they need me to have some agreements with these vendors. And like I say, the plan's been around 35 years next month, and we haven't done this before, so I'm asking forgiveness in all of them because we have bills out there that we need to pay. We just need to get this paperwork in order. So the first one is to give me authorization to enter into agreements for nurse case management services. We use nurse case managers on our out-of-work cases. It depends on the case to what firm we're going to use, what kind of management we're going to use. So that's why I'm asking for your okay to enter into an agreement for those kind of services. Of course, the form would be approved by the county attorney. The auditor will have it on file before the bills are paid. I put amounts not to exceed $3,000 per case per year. It usually doesn't go anywhere near that, but I want to give a little cushion in case we have a catastrophic claim that needs a little bit more work, so that we can get that injured worker back to work and not have to come back here to get approval.
Evelyn?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move 1 through 5.
Motion by Evelyn, second by Peter.
And if I could add number 6 that came in late last night, I attached a sheet. I thought that the bills had all been paid to this firm. There was one that came in last night on my email, so this is to enter into an agreement with 207 resolutions for 207C case management. I really just need to pay the $200 bill that's sitting on my desk, but it's similar.
I would amend my motion to include number 6.
You better second.
Peter, second. Any discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? What else you got? Oh,
I just have a question. Some of your past correspondence says it related to a volunteer fireman, cancer. How did that all work out?
That did not pass.
Okay.
You're talking, we've been calling it the cancer bill. The number escapes me. A bill passed the Senate, I believe it was in April, in a one-day fail swoop. It went through the Senate that made a presumption that cancers, the diagnosis in volunteer firemen are related to their volunteer fire duties. As you know, I've sent some emails on this. Cancer is covered under the volunteer fire law if it's caused by their duties in the fire service, but this makes a presumption that makes it a little harder for us to defend these cases. So for those reasons that we outlined, I was a bit concerned about that. The Assembly passed a bill that was modified. It had a 5-year, they had to prove interior firefighting for 5 years, and there was a caveat that the local municipalities could opt out of that presumption. That passed through the Assembly. and it went back to the Senate, and I believe it's never, it was very late in the session and didn't get through the Senate. So at this point, my understanding is that is all waiting until the next round.
Thank you.
I have a couple more. I had a pending item come up from the clerk of the board that was 2 years old. It was actually the county administrator to research whether moving employees to light duty, from light duty to disability, and the sheriff was based on opinion of statute or law. That's a couple years old. I'm gonna ask that you remove that. I think it's a moot point at this point, and get it off our pending list so they can stop hounding me every month with it.
You want a resolution to that effect?
I don't know what's the process. Can just my request makes it good? No?
I
Oh.
think we need a motion,
Make a motion.
and we'll get Ron in the minutes. And who seconds? Okay. Motion made by Ron Montesi, second by Evelyn Wood. Discussion?
A couple of years ago, there was a couple of employees that had been on light duty and filling a spot in the sheriff's office. When the staffing analysis came out, they needed, full duty officers that could respond to calls. So those, officers were no longer able, they no longer had them doing the light duty. They went out on disability. And those spots were filled with officers that could respond to calls and do full correction officer duty. And it was for the county administrator, but I think it's moot at this point. And I have one more informational item. I attached a survey to your packet. Oh, I'm sorry.
Motion in a second.
Okay, we wanna vote on the motion that Ron made, before we get too far out of order, and I forget even more than I've forgotten today already. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Okay, please
Okay.
continue.
Under informational items, I attached a survey. I've worked with Mike Needham, our safety consultant, and actually Supervisor Simpson, who's here, to develop this survey that I would like to send out to municipal highway workers, our town highway crews as well as our county crews. And basically what we're trying to do is get some feedback. We're offering a lot of safety programs, we're doing inspections, we're trying to get the culture changed in safety, but we wanna know from the workers on the ground if these things are really being implemented and what they're feeling, and get their feedback, and then we can go from there before we plan for next year's safety programs. So our thought on this is to send it out to town supervisors and ask them to give it to their highway workers. I would attach a self-addressed stamped envelope back to me. We want it to be anonymous. We don't want them to feel any repercussions if they answer one way or another. We just wanna gather information. We've also put on there's an option if they'd rather do it online. I've created a SurveyMonkey survey that they can do anonymously online. And I also planned to distribute this at DPW has a safety day where they bring our Warren County DPW all comes to the fairgrounds, and I was gonna have a table and Mike Needham may put up a prize, like a raffle. If you fill out your survey, you get a ticket for a raffle. But we're just trying to figure out ways to get to the folks that are doing the work and see if these safety programs are working or what we can do better. So I wanted to share that with you to see if you guys had any thoughts, how we could do it differently, or if you're, okay with how this is. And then we're gonna run with it, if that's okay.
I think, town of Queensbury, there was an article in the paper today that said that, they've made some big improvements in that. I know it's been costly, up until this year, disability. So, I mean, the safety program that, you've helped put through there is
They actually are not a member of the plan, because they pulled out a number of years ago. They are, they can come to our program. I'm
You
going.
talk about they pulled
They-
out of the insurance.
Yes, they're
part.
no longer part of the self-insurance plan. They can come to our safety program for a fee if they're under my contract, they have to pay a fee. Not all classes, they have to pay a fee, and I do actually share all of the information that I put out every week, with them, help them out too.
Any other input or discussion on this?
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you
you.
very much. And we have a 30-second presentation from the Board of Elections.
Resolution to contract with our Mullen movers again, in the year for moving and transporting
Thank you.
machines and equipment.
Are you got Brian? We have contacts, do you want us to take them downstairs and move them? Sure. Okay.
Thanks, Margaret.
I'm good.
Yes, we do need to,
Downstairs.
This is, something that we do every year. We put out a proposal to, movers to see what it would cost us to do transport our voting systems. This year, what we did, a little something different, because we were noticing that every year there was an increment in increasing for this. So we put it out this year, asking for proposals of not more than what we were charged this year. So the mover that we've been using and had used for the last election, came in with that bid. Other movers did not. So this is our low bid, our low proposal. So we would like to go with them and just need permission from the board to put it on for a new resolution for a new contract.
Who was first? I'll let Peter make the motion.
I
then we'll
would
second.
make the motion, to go forward.
Okay, any discussion from the committee?
Nobody bid on this, huh?
No, just the one mover, because I think other years when we've done this, the bids have come in significantly higher than the Mullen bid had. So we just, to hopefully keep Mullen from, putting in an incremental increase, we put not to exceed. And they came in, was it 4 cents less?
$4 less.
$4 less. So they met the requirement, and otherwise we would have had to re-proposed it. So we were happy that the vendor did come in with that amount.
Does Mullen have to have insurance in case?
Oh, they have to have everything. Everything has to go through the county attorney's office and, yeah, so it's been ongoing with Mullen.
Right.
So do they charge before the truck and the hour, can it come in less than 6,800, so it's not to exceed 6,800?
Well, they bid 6,800 last year, for the last
Per election.
per election. Last year, they charged us,
It was
$6,804.
Yes.
So. And that's per election, whether it's
Yeah.
yeah.
So what do you do for
Wait.
primaries?
It's the same.
It's the same. And actually,
You don't go out with as many machines for a primary though, right?
it depends. We do. We can. It just
Yes.
depends on the election
Presidential
event.
primary, we did.
Okay.
Right, yeah. So, and most times we will, because we have gotten this so that we're putting out a similar number of machines and a similar number of booths for both the general and the primary.
Okay.
More discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mike, do you have something for us?
He's here for the sheriff.
Okay, good. Then we can move right along to Brian.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Are we gonna discuss Facebook, social media? Is that gonna be in today's discussion?
Well, I thought when talking to you out in the hall, I thought that had been moved to be on this committee maybe, but, would you like to do that?
Well, we're not sure. I know, Rachel said she was looking into the policy and with Mike and such. We found there was a resolution in place.
Yeah, it just basically need approval by the county administrator and permission of your committee to have a internet presence.
Rachel?
This came up earlier with, veterans, and in talking with Brian as well as Kevin Garrity over the past few weeks, what we had thought, if it's okay with Mike Colvin, is that until, Craig and I don't know where's Craig? Craig and I we're starting to work on a countywide policy, but in the meantime, after speaking with the county attorney, it didn't seem like we needed just another step and another resolution, and then when you go to change it, you gotta go back through and, to just notify Mike Colvin. And in fact, Mike, I was gonna ask you if you could just send out an email to find out what departments do have any type of social media, and if they are going to start it, to notify you, so you can just kinda keep a list of who, has a Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. And then, in the meantime, you know, we'd like to come up with a countywide policy, but recognizing that the department head should have that autonomy to be able to start promoting, your own department, so then ultimately we'll tie it all in with a county page. But we recognize how important that is, both, you know, in a timely manner, but also to get out to those types of demographics. And so I think that, I know the county administrator is comfortable with that, our county attorney has approved that, and just trying to not hold it up any longer than, you know, it's already held up, and avoid going to all those meetings for just a Facebook page, so.
So do you then need as a committee to pass an internal committee opinion that, the individual departments can go and get this approval? Because the way it stands right now, we need a resolution, unless this committee says we don't. So I guess that would be the question, because obviously this is a big election cycle for us, and it would take us a little while to kind of create what we
Right.
hope to put on a page. So the sooner we have permission to be able to move forward on that, whether it's through a board resolution, which we thought was going to be happening, or through a committee, an internal committee resolution acknowledging that it's all right for us to do this. I mean, we'd be happy, but we just wanna get the ball rolling, because if we wait another full month, then obviously it's that much closer, because right now, we would've put out something on Facebook that Warren County does not have a congressional primary, because the 21st district doesn't. But people are hearing, capital
There's
district
elections
news
happening.
about congressional elections and calling us to find out why we haven't been promoting it. Well, we don't have one, so we don't promote anything we don't have. Where if we had a Facebook page or, you know, something different, we could have made, you know, we could have instantaneously discovered that was an issue and put something out that wasn't going to cost us a post-star ad.
I think just judging on the conversations we've had today, I mean, start today, but just let Mike know that you're doing it if that pleases the committee. I know Brian's approved that process, and, you know, I don't see why you have to wait any longer, just so long,
Yeah,
there's
that's
other
it. That's the
departments that have
resolution,
Facebook
just
that.
says your committee says go
Okay,
ahead.
okay, well, that's all, as long as we're good to go, then that's what we'll do. Terrific.
Evelyn?
I was just gonna say, if we have something on the books that says we have to have a committee approval, I think we ought to just do a blanket committee approval, so that we meet those requirements that we currently have on. Certainly if we do a new policy going forward, then we can revisit the issue, but, just for the sake that nothing comes back later to question or complicate the process, I would say let's do a blanket committee approval to go ahead and say that it's fine to do a Facebook page. It's one resolution at a committee, it's not going to, you know, be that difficult. I'd make the motion.
I thought we just did that, though. Didn't we just say, we don't need a resolution, right? We just need an approval
We
in our
have something on the
committee.
books that says the committee needs to approve it. In order to approve it, we
Not
have.
a board resolution, right?
No, it's a committee
You're right.
resolution,
I
yeah,
thought we just
and I'm making that motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Evelyn, second by Craig. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Now it's your turn, I think. Let me see if anybody else is here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I come here today seeking money that is not in my budget for one expense that I have a choice in, and one group of expenses I don't have a choice in. The first is the smaller amount, and it's the one I do have a choice in. We have a file management system called Amicus in our office. It was purchased and installed in 2008. It has been consistently more inconsistent. It is failing and on a regular basis, and it becomes worse on pretty much a daily basis. We have investigated, and we've been provided with a quote from the company that owns Amicus, Gavel and Gowan Software Incorporated, and they have proposed an upgrade for $2,395.20. That would take us through the time I would think it would require for our in-house IT folks to build a file management system for us, which is going to take at least several months, as I understand it. And I believe that IT is in line with this request. So I'm seeking authority to enter into that contract and to go to finance and get some money for it.
Any discussion? Jim?
Why is it not working correctly to begin with?
I don't know. That's
I mean, are we buying the same thing again, or are we?
Do you have an answer?
It's just out of date. As technology changes and software changes and requirements change, it's running on an old platform and it's not compatible with new platforms. That's why it's not just a problem with the product. We had the hardware from back then, it still works great. The hardware and new software.
Okay. I'll move it then.
Motion by Jim. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Evelyn. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? You got the first one through us.
Thank you. The second one I don't have a choice on. The second one is a category of three contracts for outside counsel. And the first one is our contract with Bartlett Poniff on the cogen potential litigation, negotiation, and the matters regarding the closing up of the sale of Westmount. And that is $180 an hour for Mr. Peltrowitz and $150 for associates at his firm. In 2015, we spent $14,690 and change. To date, this year, we're at $5,400. If we continue on the same track as we were last year, we'll be a little over $9,000 short on that agreement we have with them that was signed last year. The second category is also with Bartlett Poniff, and that is our monthly retainer agreement for labor relations and general counsel services that they provide to us. That last year we spent $16,281 on. It is a $3,750 a month flat fee retainer. Part of that last year was paid by Westmount. It was roughly half and half, $2,000 for Westmount and $2,000 for the county attorney's office. This year, as the issues strictly related to the real estate sale of Westmount disappear, more and more of that contract is attributable to the county attorney's office. Labor relations matters, we have contracts to negotiate this year. And the amount that was provided for is $45,000 over the $3,750 a month. There's only looks like less than $20,000 budgeted for it, $26,000 short on that. So I'm looking for enough money to pay that through the end of the year. We know what the fee is going to be. It's a flat fee. The final category is our contract with Lamar Johnson Higgins. They represent us in litigation. Was commenced several years ago, having to do with the Magic Forest parcel. I don't have any connection to the substance of that litigation. I'm prohibited from having any ethically, so it's handled by Mary, and Amy has some institutional knowledge on it, but that is the contract. Last year they spent $31,000 on it. This year, it's only been $830. I can tell you that, at this point, it's been submitted to Justice Pritzker, waiting on a decision from him. It would be unlikely, in my estimation, that there'd be a lot more work on that this year. But what we've done is allow for roughly the same amount as last year to be sure that we're not short again. So these expenses are not something that I have a current expenditure that I have to pay this month, but these are projections of what we'll need throughout the rest of the year to meet our contractual obligations. So it's a total of $45,000 and change, and I'm asking for a little over $50,000 to make sure there's enough in there to meet these obligations.
Have a source in mind?
I was advised that contingency would be the appropriate source for both of these types of expenses, the software expense and for the litigation expenses.
Magic Forest issue, you said that we may not use as much as we did last year. You think that's forthcoming, the decision from the judge? I mean, it's been hanging around for a while.
I can tell you that I argued that motion 2 business days before I started here. I think it was fully submitted about 2 months after that. As I understand it, my former partners had to file an additional letter brief. So I think the judge has had it less than 30 days. It's a pretty complex case. I would not be surprised for Justice Pritzker to take quite some time in crafting an opinion on that, because he's going to have to address all the issues in his opinion.
So, I mean, there's that fund, we can't say that it's going to be less than last year.
Right now, it's significantly less. Year to date this year is $830. $830. I don't know what, if Justice Pritzker gives a decision right away and there's going to have to be a trial, then obviously the expense is going to be much greater. If he decides that the matter's over, then there may be far less to be expended.
I just had a question for the budget officer. Perhaps it sounds like there was significantly less budgeted than Brian is anticipating spending. I just didn't know if Frank had a purpose or if there was something driving that, or nothing. Okay. The expense. Okay.
Rachel.
Brian, I just don't see this in our agenda items that came out last week with all of the different agendas and backup. So I don't have anything in front of me to look at or review the information that you just provided. Am I wrong?
It was on the agenda, it got sent out.
I went back and looked, but maybe I'm missing it.
The support services
For today?
have been included.
I thought it was. If it hadn't, I apologize, but I thought I had included the quote from Amicus and a table.
Can you just forward it to me later?
Absolutely.
Craig?
Attorney, with the Bartlett contract, it's priced at so much per month. Some of that was dedicated to Westmount. Now I'm confused of why we might need more.
The contract last year, the flat fee contract, was $4,000 a month, and it was split evenly between Westmount, $2,000, and General County Attorney Office expenses, $2,000. Since Westmount is transferred and closed, the amount that's attributable to rolling up those old issues has been declining steadily. The current contract is $3,750 a month, but now it's not coming from Westmount. The greater portion of it, the vast majority of it, is coming from my county attorney office budget. It's labor. The things that are on there are things that are not part of the cogen litigation. They're related to the actual sale of Westmount, and the bigger part of it is labor relations that Bartlett Pontiff does for us, negotiating contracts, handling and negotiating grievances, those kinds of employee discipline issues that come up. They had a contract to provide those services.
So we're still providing services related to Westmount, but there's no income income coming from the West Mount to cover that.
That's my,
Coming out of your office, but if we have proceeds from the sale of West Mount, can any of that come back and cover?
I would certainly seek that, if that's the case.
Peter?
Is there a way to, separate the items? I have an issue relative to, paying for any more, cogen, in Siemens, so, but the other issues I'm fine with. So if we have to lump them all together, I'm gonna vote against the proposal.
Well, you have the power,
I would make
To
a
make
motion
a-
then that if we could, segregate the issues involved,
or you can simply make a motion to approve the cogen and Magic Forest funding request. And see if someone else wants to make the...
I don't wanna approve any more of the cogen, that's really
Right,
my
okay, so the labor issue and the Magic Forest.
I'll second his motion.
Just,
What's,
Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure how we could do that and not approve the cogen. I mean.
we're not saying we're not approving it.
No, I mean, at one point, we had a proposal that said we could settle that. That would require an attorney to help us do that settlement. So how could we say we're not gonna pay anything for cogen?
We're not saying that. It's simply a matter of making a motion to approve two parts of the request. You're certainly welcome to make another motion to approve the cogen part of it and see how that fares.
Just making room for Peter.
Just curious, aren't we technically referring this to finance? Because finance is gonna make the ultimate decision. Maybe I'm a little bit confused or off base, or maybe another way of doing it is simply refer the matter to the finance committee, because they're ultimately gonna make that decision one way or another. I think what Brian is asking us here is, that he has these issues, he's seeking to resolve them, and he'd like to come through committee and be referred to finance so that finance can kind of sort it out. Because we can decide what we wanna pay or don't wanna pay, but finance could turn around and reverse that decision and tie it up forever. I don't know that we necessarily wanna go that route.
Well, we do have a motion and a second on the floor.
What's the motion?
The motion is to approve the labor issue and the Magic Forest issue fund request for the county attorney's office. It's leaving out the cogen part, although it doesn't mean you can't make a separate motion after this one gets voted on to approve that too, and it probably may well pass, but,
Why are we making it separate then?
Just Peter.
Oh, because of Peter, okay.
And then again, I think, I understand ultimately that finance will make that decision, but, I think something gets lost in the translation if we just, basically just go along with it without, expressing some concern.
Ron?
Brian, it's the dollars that we owe Westmount or Paltrowitz, it's not just cogen. You said it was also negotiations with labor and, on the cost of the employees that may find themselves.
I may have confused the issues, and I apologize for that. There is one retainer agreement we have with Bartlett Pontiff that is negotiating with Siemens over the potential cogen litigation. And that's the first piece. That's the $180 an hour. That's not a flat fee. That's the first item that I'm seeking as I understand it. Supervisor McDevitt, that's the piece he wants to separate out. The other one involves the flat fee retainer. That's the $37.50 a month, and that is labor issues and specifically sale of Westmount issues not related to potential cogen litigation.
So if we voted this motion that is on the floor, who would settle the cogen Siemens situation?
If we pass Peter's motion, there is nothing saying that we're not gonna also pass the cogen piece of Brian's request. That, you could make a separate motion to do that, or not, but there is a motion, a second on the floor that we need to deal with. whether you can,
I just not take that.
Peter just wants to vote no on the cogen, that's all.
Left my phone out in the car, it was raining.
We did find it online.
So, what if we don't pass Peter's resolution?
I believe someone can make a motion to pass all three of them if they want. I'm supposing that. We have our county attorney here. Do you wanna submit that to his office, and we'll bring this up again in a couple months?
So,
No reflection on you, just, I know you get busy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
so where are we at?
We have a motion and a second on the floor to approve what I have as items 2 and 3 of this funding request, the one for labor issues and the one for Magic Forest issues.
We just need to vote.
We just need to vote, and then you decide if you wanna put another motion, or if you can kick Peter hard enough under the floor, he might withdraw his motion. We got all kinds of options, including ordering in lunch.
So,
It's pretty simple. Why don't we just vote?
Okay.
Can I ask one question, Peter? What's the impetus for you to do that?
I really think it's time to stop funding any legal dollars as it relates to cogen. It's time to stop. Real simple. County
So
money.
What do we do? I mean, if we stop, what's the, how do you handle it?
Larry does not bill any more hours as it relates to legal fees as it
But how
relates
do
to
we
cogen.
solve the problem? That's what we're trying to do.
Maybe if we have to deal with it in the future, we deal with it in the future. But right now, we stop any form of reimbursement to Larry as it relates to cogen.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. We ready to vote? All in favor?
Show of hands.
so, yeah, wow.
Was it your hand up for a second there? I'll count it. They need all the help they can get.
Yeah, I'm still confused about this whole, so therefore I'm not voting yes, sorry.
No
Okay.
opposed?
What is it, 4-3?
Now I'll put a
Looks
motion
like-
forth that we accept all three, 1, 2, 3, that Brian has put forth.
Pardon me?
Second that motion.
Rachel, did you have a question?
Did you vote, Matt? Are you on?
I'm not on this committee.
Oh.
They shouldn't vote.
That hasn't stopped some people
I'm
before.
confused. I'm like, wait a minute.
There is a vacancy still on this committee, I think.
Oh. Okay, so the motion on the floor is to vote as,
For all three of the funding requests, to the tune of, you wanted $50,000 total.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
that was in the original notice,
Right?
okay.
This ultimately I'm sorry, I have a
Goes to
question.
finance, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
This ultimately goes to finance, and then if that passes to the full board, so there's obviously an opportunity at the full board to have that discussion, right? That's fine.
I just wanted to make sure. Okay, so, are we ready to vote on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Wait, hands going up and down. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in favor. Opposed? Abstentions? I thought you were gonna plug in there, Craig. Abstention. So, the motion carries. And, are you done?
I apologize, Mr. Chairman, I am not. This is for a motion for an executive session. We have potential litigation over the universal settlement.
Actually, I think I knew that. Can we get a motion to enter into executive session for purposes of?
Discussing potential litigation over the universal settlement.
We need a second.
Chairman, do you want a motion?
Well, I'm just waiting to make sure everybody's back yet. Are you functional as a single entity? Okay, so we're back in regular session, having, taken no action while in executive session. I believe we have a motion from Supervisor Montesi.
Authorizing, county attorney to spend the $4,000 on the litigation case with Centers.
Potential litigation, negotiation over the universal settlement, Mr. Supervisor.
Second? Hasn't made it to the minutes yet. Mr. Brock?
I'm seconding.
Yes. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? That motion is passed. Do we have any other business to come before this committee before Evelyn takes a seat? For minus 2 minutes? Motion to adjourn? Made by Edna and Evelyn.
You have to talk fast, Evelyn. No.
Games, huh?
You never
I
know.
got it.
Where are these people from?
No involvement whatsoever in those years. Why did you take her coming from?
I'm not sure if I'm done with this chair yet.
Different states, they're dealing with one, they're